Welcome to the T-Pac Arcade. Today's game is Gradius for the Nintendo Entertainment System. In this 1986 shoot-'em-up from Konami, planet Gradius is under attack from the Bacterians, and the only thing that can stop them is the Warp Rattler Hyperspace Fighter. I mean, I would have just tried some hand sanitizer first, but you know I won't argue with any solution that involves starships and laser cannons. So, Gradius is one of the key progenitors of the modern side-scrolling space shooter, and it introduces a ton of tropes that have since become staples for both the series and the genre as a whole. There are several consecutive stages here, which are generally subdivided into a power-up phase where you pick off standard enemy waves for upgrades, a main phase where you navigate the stage terrain, an endurance gauntlet where you have to survive a barrage of one specific hazard, and finally a boss encounter, which happens to be the same thing until the final two stages. I'll admit that it's not as exciting to fight the same boss over and over, but as someone who owns 3 pairs of the same running sneakers and 3 pairs of the same casual shoes, I can appreciate the comfort of familiarity. As far as graphics go, Gradius might as well be the poster child for sci-fi shoot-'em-up visuals. It covers all the bases for what's come to define the genre, from carbon copy waves of minor enemy spacecraft, to terrestrial and factory stages lined with turrets and drone cans, to destructible jelly bean walls and the all-important floating bio-lumps with robot arms that just want to reach out and hug you to death. I realize this sounds incredibly specific, but hear me out. Not only have I played countless space shooters that feature this same sort of fleshy, appendaged robopod, but they all share a common disrespect for my personal space. No hugs, please and thank you. This isn't to say that Gradius lacks some designs unique to itself, though. Case in point, the series staple Moai heads that spit rings at you. I don't know what the Easter Island statues are doing up in space, but nobody knows what they're doing on Earth either, so who am I to question it? The sound design here is fairly iconic as well, and I appreciate how the game reuses the same themes for both the power-up phases and the survival/boss fight phases. As soon as the music kicks in, you know exactly which section of the level you're about to dive into. That is if you can hear it over the Warp Rattler's incessant bird-chirping cannon sound effects. It's a good thing real-life guns don't sound like finches and sparrows, or else I'd never know if I'm waking up to a beautiful spring morning or a gang war out in the middle of the street. Which brings me to the most novel aspect of Gradius, its power-up system. If there's one thing that's truly unique to this game series, it's the dynamic upgrade selection. A list of available power-ups is displayed along the bottom of the screen, and you can equip whichever one is currently highlighted. The highlighted box cycles to the next upgrade for each power capsule that you collect from enemies, so you can strategically collect a specific number of capsules to activate a specific power. This is really important for prioritizing which upgrade you need most in each stage, but ultimately you want to activate all of them. Speed-ups, missiles, satellite options, shields, and either the laser or double shot. And this is where the difficulty really comes into play. This game is the namesake for Gradius syndrome, a shoot-'em-up term referring to games that become practically impossible if you die and lose your power-ups. And there's a lot of truth to this idea. The only way I made it through the game was by enabling turbo fire and using save states at the start and end of each stage to simulate a run where I never lost my upgrades. Because as early as the Moai head level, you might as well reset the game before you even think of making it through with just a standard shot. Surviving their ring attacks at that point would be like trying to stay dry in a thunderstorm by holding a single lettuce leaf over your head. My favorite part of Gradius, as odd as it may sound, is the static final boss encounter. Once you make it through the last barrier of the Bacterian fortress, you come face to face with this completely idle giant brain suspended in midair by electric beams. It doesn't lunge at you or shoot or anything. You just blast it until the fortress explodes and you win the game. So why would I like that? Well, when it comes to video games, I usually care about the spectacle more than the challenge. And Gradius gives me the chance to encounter this crazy alien monstrosity and just sort of ooh and ah at it. Instead of showering me with so many projectiles, I can't even pay attention to what I'm fighting in the first place. I realize most gamers would think this is a crazy opinion, but I'm also the weirdo who likes watching commercials because I'm so much more intrigued by design than content. An ad for toilet paper will win me over with colorful cartoon bears just as easily as a game with no challenge will win me over with lasers and robots. And speaking of visuals and gameplay, if I could change one thing here, I'd add some visible indication of enemies taking damage. Gradius gives audio cues when you land a hit on a boss or an amoeba or something, but it would be way more satisfying if they flashed a different color to reinforce the blow. Overall, Gradius is a fantastic game that still baffles me with just how much it's contributed to my favorite genre. I owe so much of my space shooter obsession to this title, and I can't wait to play the other Gradius games in my collection, as long as I don't get hugged by any more floating meat piles with robot arms.